Welcome to the third part of this course, which is called Master Excel Formulas, Make the Leap to the Next Level. I really hope that you enjoyed the first two parts of the course and that so far you have actually gained an idea how the formulas are actually used. Now, as usual, we are going to start with a quote of the day, which in this case is it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. And this is quite true, really, because a small progress every day will take you very far in life, as they say. So starting with the first set of formulas, this is the sum and offset. This is more like a combination, really, because offset is a formula that usually goes with other functions such as sum or average. So what does it do? So basically it allows for a dynamic range to be, let's say, summed or to be averaged, etc., etc., etc. What is the structure of sum of offset? As you can see, we need to have a range reference, and then rows, columns, height, and width. You will see what I mean by all these things when I give you the example. So as you can see, you have an example here as well, but let me just go to the sheet with the examples. So here, what I have prepared is a few columns with numbers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the sum offset combination, and I'm going to try and sum the numbers starting from C5 and going to E5, okay, but I'm going to use obviously offset. Right, so just to show you how this works, so first of all we need a reference cell. So if this reference cell, let's say, is C4, now this means that we need to go one row down, really, in order to get to the start range of what we are supposed to sum. So we need to do rows, we need to do 1, okay, which basically means that we are going down one row, okay. Columns, we do not need to go to the left or go to the right in terms of the columns, because it is actually the same column that we need to start from, okay. And then we have height and width, which are usually optional functions, but we are going to use them in this case. So the height basically means this, really, how many rows, really. And in this case we have a height of 1, whereas the width is going to be 3, because we have 3 different cells that we need to sum, okay. And this is how the formula looks like. You need to have, as I said, a reference cell, and our reference cell at the moment is C4, and based on that reference cell we determine the rows and columns here, okay, and then the height and the width as well. So if I press enter, you're going to see that the result is 15, and again, this is the result of the summation of these 3 numbers. As I said, this formula is usually used when you try to create a dynamic range which needs to be summed, okay. Now let me go back to the presentation. The next formula is choose. It's a very frequently used formula again. So what does it do? It allows you to pick a specific value by specifying its index, okay. The structure of the formula is as follows. You have the index number that obviously you need to specify, and then you need to have a specific number of values really within the formula as well. So I'm going to show you how this works by going to the spreadsheet to give you an example. Okay, so what we have here, we have a column with numbers and a column with letters. Okay, so now we're going to use the numbers here as our index. Okay, so if I start typing choose and then I pick, let's say 2, okay, which is age 5, and then after that I need to individually select these values here. Okay, and now what this means is that now the formula is looking for the second value which is specified by the age 5 here within I4, I5 and I6, obviously the values that we have specified here. So if I press enter, we get P, which basically means that the second value within this range is P. Okay, now if I wanted to get the first, I just need to go and do a H4. That's obviously J, and similarly for obviously H6, we get G. Right. Going back to the presentation again, the next formula is cell. Cell, sometimes it can be quite useful really. What it does, it provides information, various details about a specified cell. The structure of the formula is obviously here as well. So first of all, we need to specify the input type, and then the reference is an optional thing really. I'll show you what I mean by reference, but the input type is this. So I have included this screenshot as well. So you have all these different details that you can actually choose from, choose what to get as an outcome. Okay, now if I go to the spreadsheet to show you an example, this is the example really. So now I want to have the outcome to be the content of this formula. Okay, sorry, of this cell, which is K4, and now you can see that we get the value of K4 here. Okay, basically that reference, the optional thing here that obviously I showed you in the structure of the formula, is pretty much this. We just need to select a cell, and obviously that cell then will, its value will be taken, its content will be taken, and it's going to be shown here. Okay, fine. Now let's go to the presentation to see what the next formula is, and it is a very, very frequently used formula. Some product, sometimes some people perceive this formula as being quite complicated, but it is actually not complicated. What it does is it allows you to multiply arrays together and then sum the products of that process. For example, the structure here, it shows you might have, let's say, 2 arrays, okay, and then the values within each array, for example, they will be multiplied, and then these outcomes will be summed to get, like, you know, the final outcome. Okay, let me give you an example here as well. What we have is this here. Okay, so as you can see, we have 2 ranges or 2 arrays, for example, with values. Okay, so I'm going to type the sum product formula here. Okay, because I'm going to show you something else as well. So the first array is obviously this one, and then the second array is this one. Okay, and this is what we get. We get 140 as the final outcome. But how is this actually calculated? So the way this sum product formula works is basically you have the first array, you have the second array, and now this is multiplied by this, and then this by this, etc, 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 and then we get like, you know, outcomes here, and these outcomes are actually summed. So I'll show you that this is actually the case as well. So if I do this and multiply here, okay, and then just do this one as well. So as you can see, we have 10, 24, 42, and 64, which, as you can see here, the sum of this is 140. You can actually just use a sum formula just to make sure that that is correct, okay, and this is what we get, okay, great. Now the next two formulas are if error and XOR. If error is probably one of the most used formulas in Excel. What it does is it ensures that there is an alternative, let's say, outcome in case that the operations inside the if error brackets are actually, well, will actually return an error, okay. So the XOR, the other formula, is another logical formula here, another logical function, and it returns true if there's only two operations, and if only one is true, then it will return true, okay. If both of them are true, it will return false, and then if there are more than obviously two operations inside the brackets, the function returns true only if the number of true operations inside is actually odd, okay. Now let me show you what I mean by all this, okay, by giving examples. So first of all, the if error. So the way the if error works is this. So let's say we are going to use VLOOKUP, and we want to look up the name Brian within here, okay, and return a result from the second column, okay, and this is how it should look. And now, in case that the VLOOKUP part of this formula returns an error, we want our formula to return not found, okay. So as you can see, there's no Brian, so the VLOOKUP formula inside will return an error, okay. So which basically means now we have ensured that in case of an error, we have a specific outcome that will be returned, okay. Now an example with XOR. So let's have just two operations, for example, okay. So this is bigger than this, for example, and then this is bigger than 3, okay. So now, as you can see, both of these operations inside here are true, okay. Now, and because of that, XOR returns false. As I said, when there are only two operations inside the brackets of the XOR function, what happens is it returns false, okay. But now, for example, if one of these is actually not true, let's just change the sign here in the first operation. Now it's going to return true because 3 is not bigger than 15, but 10 is bigger than 3, okay. So this is these are obviously the two operations that we have here. Now let's insert another operation, okay. So now we have one true and one false, okay. But if we do insert another operation which is true, let's say this one, it will return false again, because now we have two true operations and one false. And from obviously the presentation, from what we stated there, and that obviously when there are more than two operations inside the brackets, if the number of the true operations is even, it is going to return false. If the number of true operations is odd, it's going to return true. And now let me show you a true outcome as well by adding another operation that is going to be true, okay. So now we have 3 operations here that are actually true, okay, and the first one is actually false. Now this means that the end result is going to be true, Right, okay. So let's go back to the presentation. The next two formulas, the next set of formulas are large and small, very frequently used formulas again, and quite easy really. So what large returns is it returns the nth largest value in an array, okay, whereas the small function returns the nth smallest value, and the structure is basically the same. So let me give you the examples here as well. Now if I go down here, so the example, let me just delete this as well. So here we need to return the third largest value from this array, okay? So this is our array, and we want the third largest value, which is 44 in this case, and let's check if it's true. So we have 88 is the biggest one, it's the largest one, then we have 79, and then 44 is the third largest value, okay? Now we need here the second smallest value within this array, and as you can see, this is the array, and now we need the second smallest, and the second smallest is 40. So as you can see, the smallest value here is 23, second smallest is actually 40. Okay, great. Now the next formula is the rank formula. It's a very interesting formula. Not many people actually know about it, but it's extremely useful when you need to rank, let's say, specific numbers within a range. Okay, so basically, as I said, it purely returns the rank of a number within a range. If there are two numbers that are the same, it returns the rank of the first for the second one as well. So that's why we use rank.eq. Okay, I'll show you what I mean by giving you an example here as well. Okay, so now rank .eq, okay, is this, and now we need, let's say, the number here, and we need the reference range. So this is the reference range, and I'm going to fix the range as well, so you can see. So this is the fourth largest value really within our array. Okay, so now if I just go and populate this formula for the other cells as well, so the number one rank is for 5 because 5 is the biggest value. Now as you can see, we have 4 and 4 because 1 and 1 actually, well, they're basically the same number. Okay, and that's why we use the rank.eq formula, because it gives us the same rank for a number that is obviously repeated more than once within our range or array. Okay, now let's go to the next formula, which is the repeat formula. What the repeat formula does, it repeats a text or a number a specific number of times. Okay, so the structure of the formula is you have the text or the number, and then we repeat it like a specific number of times, as I said. So let me give you an example here. Okay, so this is our number, and this is the number of times we need to repeat it. So if I use the repeat formula here, okay, and select this, and then after that repeat this 3 times, this is what we get. Okay, now if this wasn't a number, if it was let's say a character, letter, for example, T, this is what happens. So 3 times, and if we want to repeat it let's say 8 times, for example, this is what happens as well. Again, if we want to turn it back to a number, this is what happens. Okay, now going back to the presentation, the next two formulas replace and substitute. They're very useful formulas, and obviously there is a little bit of a difference in obviously the structure and in what they do really, but like you know, the whole point of these two formulas is to replace, let's say, a specific text within an already existing, let's say, text or range. Okay, so let me just give you the example here as well. So this is what we have now. Here I am going to use replace, and now replace usually starts with the range. So this is our range. Okay, now where do we need to start? I want to replace 17, let's say, with 18. So that basically means I need to start from character 7. Okay, and I need to go for 2 characters or 2 spaces there, and the new text is going to be 18. Okay, so I need to put the new text in quotes. Okay, and this is what happens. Okay, now the substitute formula is a little bit different in terms of structure. Now we had here we had a word which obviously didn't mean, like, anything really, but we need to just replace a specific character there. Let's say if we want to replace the character T there with character B, we can do this. Okay, I just need to replace this with the semicolon again, and this is what happens. Okay, so all the T's are replaced by B, okay, as we specified. So now we actually have a word bubble, right? So I hope that you understand that the difference between replace and substitute here, okay, is mainly the structure and obviously in the way they have to be written. Okay, now going back to the presentation, the next formula is find. A very interesting formula, and what it does is it returns the index position of a specific character, starting from a specified position in the range. The way the formula is structured or is written is, first of all, we need to have the lookup character, okay, that is usually in quotes, and then we need to have the lookup range, and an optional thing here is the starting point. I'll show you one example without this option here, and one example with the option as well. Okay, now so what we have here is we have 2 words. Okay, so now the first example I want to give you is just a simple example without the use of the optional start number obviously operation here. Okay, now we need to find G, the index position of G. We think here, so we think this word, and this is what we do. So the index position of G is actually 1. Right, now if we want to do that here though, what we are going to get without specifying the starting position of the formula is 1, but we might want, let's say, anything after 1. So again, we need to go to the formula and just specify that we want to start from position 2 or from character 2. Now you can see that the next index position for G is actually in character 7, because we have 5 here. Okay, great, obviously has 5 characters. Then we have an empty space, which is the 6th character, and then the 7th position is actually G. Okay, right, going back now, I want to again leave you at the end of obviously part 3 of this course with what has become like obviously a permanent feature here in this course. with this quote: repetition is the mother of learning. So I really encourage you to just go back, go back to the start of let's say this part 3, and just go over, like, the things that you want to go over, because obviously you'd rather have it, like, clarified, or you'd rather have it, like, clear in your mind, than obviously not knowing it. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to contact me using the comments of this course. I will be answering all the questions there. I really hope that you enjoyed this part, and I'll see you in the next part of the course.